Hello, everyone. This is the Metabob Podcast, the podcast where we go and talk to the greatest minds in the AI space. And today, we're very lucky to have Sam Thapaliya. He is currently co-founder of ASMI, an AI startup, and he is also working on several crypto startups. ASMI is a AI video ad platform, and yeah, Sam, it's super great to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Donji, for having me, and really appreciate the platform for being able to share some of our story.
Yeah. So, why don't you give us a little bit about your background? What was it like? Where'd you grow up? What was it like growing up? And how did you start getting into the tech space?
Well, I was born in Nepal in the middle of civil war, so it's just a pretty gloomy background when you really start with. But I actually didn't saw a computer until I was like 11 years old. I had no idea computer existed, and I actually touched a computer when I was 13 for the first time. And by end of the year, I was writing like softwares in Basic, and and I basically built an ERP software with that year and showed it around. And by the time I was 15, I tried to start my first company that was called Groupin, which is basically Slack for gamers. I haven't spent more time on like individual like time on anything more than that. I spent so much time trying to build basically Slack for gamers. No one used it. That was like that was a way of like how did it go? No one used it. Then after that, actually, there was a big earthquake in Nepal. After that, I took 2 years off after high school, and in that time, all I did was learn how to program. And at that time, I basically learned all the courses that was available from MIT and Harvard like edX on AI, and did some projects for here and there, and then started my another company, was a B2B e-commerce company. Had an exit from that, and while I was strolling through videos, one day I thought like, what should be the monetization of these videos, and what should be the future of video itself? And then that enabled me to start asking. So that's the background in terms of uh, how I got into this technological world.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So wait, what was this first? Can you describe the first software that you worked on a little more?
Yeah. So what happened was, like, I'm from Nepal, right? So I have I saw all these stores. Everyone is writing with like their bills and piece of paper, right? And then I thought, like, what should be a way to like be cool in front of these people, right? And that's basically what I used to think. Like my whole like when you were 13 years old, your like life goal is like first thing be cool, and second thing is do something else. So my whole idea was like, let me try to build something, and that's what I basically built ERP software. So the end to end from billing to be able to manage
And what does ERP stand for?
earnings and
Oh,
yeah. So basically for small business, I built that. Two people used it, no one.
wait, give me 1 second. So you're telling me that as a 13-year-old, you thought the coolest thing that you could do was build the ERP software? That's awesome.
Yeah, because the thing was, like, anyone else who had a computer were
Uh,
like these stores, they used to have computers to play music. Because back so the window media player, like with the
uh,
whole with the cool, like, music playing around. That was the entire use of computer. And I was like, oh, all these people have computer, so what is the other thing that I can do with them? It's like, oh, sell an ERP, like sell. Basically, it was at first the billing software, but it started being used as an ERP. A couple of people use it, but they never paid it. They paid me with like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's about it. And that basically that let me realize that, oh, there is a way to do more things with this.
but you got your first users to ever use like a software you made there,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and they actually used it.
Yeah, they actually used it. Actually, uh, I knew like few of these small businesses. Like my dad had a small business, right?
Mhm.
Uh, First customer. But besides that, like, my family members and like friends and stuff. So that's how I was able to sell it. But one cool thing that I learned there was, after like a year or two, I realized I was talking to other people who actually sell software, right? And they told me that, oh, like, this is the rate for how much an ERP or billing management software goes, a custom billing management software goes. And then I realized, wow, they all use my software and they never paid me anything. So that made me
Darn.
realize, wow, you actually can make money out of these things.
Yeah. Wait. So what'd you do next? So you did the Slack.
for gamers. So
for
basically,
gamers?
Discord, Discord.
Yeah.
Basically imagine the same product, but built in Nepal, and around like half a year or a year before Discord was released, and no one used it.
Darn.
Yeah, so every time like the Discord raises new round of funding, I'm like, you know what? I try to build right product, but at the wrong place.
Ah, okay. And then that's when you decided, like, hey, I need to go to the United States and publish something.
No, actually, like that point, there was a big earthquake that happened in Nepal. I took 2 years off, and in that time, all I did was just learn how to code.
Right, right.
Like machine learning. Basically, I didn't go to I so in my college, I actually didn't study any programming. Most of my skills come from self learning, and that 2.5 years, all I did was just like find new modules, like like just practice that new algorithm that all I did was these things for 2.5 years. And in that time, I tried to build things that will like segment people's noise, segment like images, and then start to like experiment with like how can you like augment the image, or like how you can compress image using AI. All I was doing was just like every possible thing that was available. And just if anyone publishes new like paper, and if there's some code available in GitHub, try to experiment with that. So all I did was that for 2.5 years. And then I tried to start a startup in B2B e-commerce space in Nepal. I wanted to expand into India, but didn't have any resources. Then I took an exit from there, and I came to US for
Wait,
college.
how did you take the exit there? That's actually.
Oh, so there we had three things. Like in 3 months, we had around like 10-20,000 businesses signed up.
Oh, well,
And
how did you get those?
well, in terms of growth, we tried this strategy of giving free software. So we had free accounting software, and I knew that everyone loves accounting software and does not like to pay for it from my from my childhood memories. So we gave away the accounting software. Everyone started using it, and a lot of people started actually signing up to it. We had like we started offering like a few side products in terms of like, oh, enabling like, oh, if you have shipping, then we have shipping partner, right? So in Nepal, Nepal is a very tight community when it comes to businesses, right? Everyone knows everyone, so that's why it grew up as wildfire. So for us, the next logical conclusion of this business would have been to grow into India, become like Udan is like another $10 billion company right now. And we actually came in the same time. But for us, we didn't have resources, and the founders of Udan were the founders, like we're from the executive team of one of the largest e-commerce company there. We already were in the, we were not that opportunistic for us to go to India. So basically, we
And this
started
is the second time you've seen like someone get away with your idea.
more as a having the similar vision, but
Uh-huh.
being more resourceful and being more well positioned. Like I never
Uh-huh.
think someone like can take away your
Oh yeah,
idea.
yeah. No one can take your idea, but
Exactly, but just being well positioned and being full of resources is
Mhm.
actually the one of the few things you can survive. And at that point, like what we did was we offloaded the whole product, like divided it as an accounting software, sold it to someone, the database sold it to someone. We had like other few assets, we sold it to someone else, and then I came to US. And my learning point from those two things was like, you have to always ask yourself, what is the most powerful asset that you have? And people can be like, I have connection to investors. I'm very well, like I'm very, I can speak very well, explain my ideas really well. And or it can be, I'm really good programmer. And that point I realized I'm from Nepal, and one of the most powerful thing that I have is the access to one of the biggest talent pool at a very, very like affordable cost. And in the same time, I can actually start building product at a very short period of time. And instead of spending like year or 2 year, I can actually do that. So that was my learning point when I came to America. So that's why I actually didn't want to study CS. I came to Menlo College for the entire reason. It was right next to Stanford, and it was
Mm.
right in Silicon Valley. My entire purpose, like in my visa interview, I remember that like when the visa interviewer asked me like constantly, why you're going to America? I'm like, oh, I'm going to start a company.
Mhm.
And that's like, and I did that. So that's how I got into this space here.
That's awesome. So you got your 20,000 users over there, and then you sold it. How did you sell it?
So people love to buy databases.
Uh,
Like, and when you have data on how people are selling, what they're selling, uh And customer acquisition itself for a business customer, even in Nepal, is more than $10. That itself should, just for the customer acquisition, but having like enough data like compile on them itself is pretty expensive too. So that's how people love to buy data. That's how I would say.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So then you come over here to Menlo. You
Yeah.
start your startup. And is that first startup you started over here, ASMI?
Yeah, that was my. There was like in 2017, I tried to start a universal basic income coin. Didn't
Oh,
work out.
nice.
I went to pitch to Team Draper.
Uh-huh.
We had a simple disagreement in terms of how the economics of this will work. While he was a big believer in terms of having a mass inflation at first and then slow down after the adaptation, my belief was that's not how we should do it. And based on that disagreement, I was not able to launch it. But that's what I tried to do. It didn't work out. And then I started ASMI. And ASMI was just answer to the mass adoption of video. Like everyone was in watching videos or creating videos. And that's basically what enabled me to think, how can I build an interesting product in this space?
And how did you come up with the initial concept?
So for me, like I'm very like a big believer in video, right? So after coming to America, I was having some like, a quarter life crisis, like what I always like to define it as, because I wanted to build something interesting. Like the universal basic income didn't work out well. So I was watching a lot of video. I learned how to fly a plane by watching YouTube videos. And just like going to fly plane with my friend, but a lot of it comes from watching YouTube video. What is the next thing you do after you learn how to fly a plane by watching video? Well, you try to learn how to skateboard. So I was watching a lot of skateboard videos. And one of the new platform that was coming up and coming like 2018, that was called TikTok, right? No one knew about it, honestly. Like now when I said TikTok, everyone's mother knows it. But like 2018, when you are walking around with TikTok, people will be like, who are you? Like, like why you are so weird, right? So I was watching a lot of this video, and I was watching the videos in their Chinese app, because I always like to work with like what they
Mhm.
are doing in terms of the whole product scenario. And they showed me a toothpick dispenser ad, and the first thing that came to my mind was, in what universe I'm buying a toothpick dispenser, right? Because
Unless you had
not
some seaweed in your teeth.
no, not really, not really. I hope it was not, but like I'm not a 7-year-old kid who's gonna be amazed by a toothpick dispenser,
Yeah.
and also I'm not a mafia gangster in Scorsese movie who's gonna walk around with toothpick, right? So I was just thinking like, why they're showing me this ad, and for a few days that question was in my head. I was like this video platform is gonna, like, the 15-second video is gonna be the biggest thing in the next like few years.
Mhm.
And one of the few things that they haven't figured out is ads. So basically, I started thinking about it. I brought 10 of my best engineers from my previous startup, started work like brainstorming. And one of the conclusions that we came in is, well, we can use AI to actually bring in video commerce, and we can bring in video ads in the form of product placement. And this will be very, very targeted based on user behavior. So that was our basic conclusion. We started building it. And after having some basic prototype, I met my co-founder. I knew him for a while, convinced him to drop everything that he was doing, join the startup. And we came out of stealth 2021. And last 6 to 8 months, we have been able to accomplish quite a lot of things in this space.
So first things first, before we get into all that, what was your concept for getting the data? Like, where would you get the data, and then to,
Yeah.
deliver custom ads? And then how were you going to, yeah, first of all, where were you going to get that data? Were you thinking?
So I think the first thing for me was, I have always been big believer in content-based ad compared to user behavior-based ad, because your content behavior tells a lot about you. Just look at
And can you
Netflix.
explain the difference?
So just look at Netflix, right? Netflix
Mhm.
can know that what you are interested in watching. You have never done anything in Netflix beside that, like just watch content, right? And you look at Facebook. Facebook ads is based on who you are, like what is your age and all that kind of stuff. It feels really intrusive, right? And while Netflix content, it feels like a feature.
Okay, so one is like, you watched a movie about skateboarding. I'm going to show you a skateboarding ad. Net, uh, you know, maybe for some reason on Facebook, or earlier that day you Googled toothpick, and now you're being shown toothpick ads.
Yeah. So and the problem with that is, if it is let's say food related video, I would love to see a toothpick ad. You know what? It makes sense. But for a skateboard video, it just does not like, it just feels like an ad. And that was my very starting point, is like there's a friction, and there is like, there is a difference between two world that is out there. One is really interesting content. People are creating such interesting content, right? Like, look
Mhm.
at all the famous people that have been viral in the last 3 years. All of them is because of TikTok videos that they created, right? And imagine seeing toothpick dispensary in those videos. So that's basically my whole thought process was, there are going to be millions and millions of new creators because of this tool or this app. And these users will love to have a better form of advertisements, and not just for the creator, also for the consumers as well. Because for consumers who are consuming the video, they should not feel like they have been forced to watch an ad, you know. So
Mhm.
that was our whole thought process. And in that, and collecting data has always been the problem. So hence comes in AI, because uh, if you cannot collect a lot of user data, then you can collect a lot of content, and based on that, you have to come up with better product.
Mhm. And then how is your plan to get the content from any of these video platforms that you would partner with?
Yeah. So for us, at first, what we did was we tried to work with openly available data sets.
Mhm.
Content that has no copyright-free content. Start from there. Process a lot of videos, and then went on to like different strategies. And we started buying videos, and then the third thing was actually doing pilot with the companies itself, video platforms. While you're doing pilots, then they're more than happy to share some of the videos with you, so that you
And
can.
how are you funding it to this point of where you're talking?
Oh yeah, yeah. So my first check actually came in end of 2019. One of alumni from Menlo College. I was in a lunch with him, and he was like, you know what, Sam, I'll write you a check, and I think you will be able to do something interesting. And I always say that was like the best lunch in my life. I don't think anyone can beat that. You're like 20 years old, and you have like, no one has ever said like, I believe in you, but here comes someone that writes you a $50,000 check. So that's how it all started.
Were you telling him about ASMI?
Yeah, yeah. I was telling you about it, and it was such. I would even say it was from that day we have grown so much. It was just like shell of an idea at that point, right?
Mhm.
But he liked the idea that I was in this space, and I said like, I will be able to solve this problem with AI.
So he didn't do like, it wasn't like the due diligence kind of thing. He just kind of wrote a check and here you go.
Oh yeah, like, cause I knew him for a while. Like, I knew him for a year, because he went to same school. I used to, bother him every once in a while in LinkedIn.
Did you ask him for money? Was that like the going into it where you
So I actually just pitched him for, like, to be honest, at first wanted him to be an advisor, because I never
uh
knew we were at this point to get money. I had no idea that we would be like, someone can actually fund this company. And the funny thing is, when he wrote the check, we didn't have a bank account.
So you weren't even really planning on asking him for $50,000. He kind of like heard the pitch and was like, this guy.
It was not even a pitch. It was just like, sharing what we want to do, and like, it was in the University Avenue.
So were you completely like blindsided? Like you're like, what?
So basically what he was like, oh, so I'm gonna go to, like, I'm going to travel like for a month and a half, so like next weekend. So we had 4 days to figure out how to get a bank account. And we had no idea how hard it was to get a business bank account. We had to go to Union Bank. I'm actually not from here, so the paperwork is even more crazier. And the funny thing is, I never like, so I didn't know how to drive a car at that time, right? I actually learned like drive recently, so I didn't even
You
have a
learned how
driver
to
license.
fly a plane before you knew how to drive?
Yeah. So I actually, like, I didn't even have the driver's license, right?
Mhm.
So it was so hard for us to get the bank account, and last minute before he went, like, we actually got the check and we were able to cash it, and that's how we actually started. And to this day, like, every once in a while, like, I'm chatting with him, and he's like, you have come like, along. You remember the time you didn't even have a bank account? Now you have a bank account with some money. So that was the starting point for us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So on the tech side of things, how did you decide to like structure your, how are you going to train the model? How are you going to uh, like deploy it and all of those kind of details?
Yeah, so for us, one of the beautiful thing for us is like, when we're looking at a video, Normal
Mhm.
people look at a video, but when you are looking from the perspective of an AI, it's a 60 frame in a second. There's a 15-second that is 900 frames, right? So while anyone will see one video, we will see 900 frames, 900 potential data sets, 900 potential like data points that we can
Mhm.
actually work with. So that was the starting point for us, because at first it was just like 100 video manually watching, manually training the AI and just seeing, okay, it works, it does not work, or like this mask RCN algorithm works, or this type of does not work. How do we create a neural network on top of it in which we can actually run a small loop in which we are able to create a perfect JSON that is able to attach in video ads. So these were the first thing. And once we were able to see some form of positive interaction, what we were able to do was we were able to basically have a two team. One team entire job was to create JSON, and the other team's entire job was uh, to create like to basically find videos that will not work with this JSON. And and at some point we were able to see very very positive results. And still to this day, like in our in video ads for in video, like in video banner ads, we are like almost 95-96% accurate. And there are some edge cases, because if someone starts to go like up and down and left to right, like within a span of like 0.5 second, there will be small form of lag. But besides than that, for us was that strategy of one team creating a product and the other team trying to break the product itself, like and all being like AI driven and data driven. That was the best thing we actually did. And in terms of, as you said, in terms of creating data set and training model, it was the scraping all the publicly available videos. And being from Nepal, you have a lot of resources that you can actually ask them to watch these videos and manually say yes and no. So that's how actually we started. And as we said, like we have much humble beginning than quite a lot of AI startups here.
Mhm. Oh, so you went to Nepal for a lot of the labeling?
We didn't. We actually have a shop in Nepal.
Oh,
We
cool, cool.
so I'm from Nepal. So we have our almost all of our dev team is in Nepal. So we actually were able to work with our developers there for quite a lot of these, like from labeling to creating data sets. We were offering people like a couple of dollars per pairs of data that they create, or for labels, like it's all the dynamic ways we were able to do to be able to like scale this out really fast. Because you can either choose the expensive route, like the scale AI route, and your entire raise will be spent on getting one data set, or you can go to Nepal, manage it yourself, and just do it at like 1,000 that cost.
I mean, you got a $50,000 check. You had to make that last.
Yeah, exactly. And it lasted like for quite a long time, because before that money, like, and then we started getting more checks. And 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 it's going on. That's what I will say.
That's amazing. And so then how was your preparation for coming out of stealth mode, or why were you working in stealth mode, quote unquote?
Yeah, so for us to work in stealth mode, was there's two things. One was to understand what product, because we had like we didn't even had who are like we didn't even knew who are our customers for a while, right? And we used to think that, oh, publishers, like video publishers like TikTok, are going to be our customer. And then we're like, no, you know what, advertisers are our customers. And we started going there was a month in which we reached out to over 200 video publishers to, like, to get feedback from them. Because when you're building product, you need to have as many like years, like you need to have years to the ground. And for us, like every time you're talking to customer, you realize new thing about this industry. Because I do not come from ad tech world. My co-founder David, he actually comes from ad tech world. But when you are building the tech, the there when you're building new tech, right? Because if you're building existing tech, you have to compete in terms of like, I am more accurate or I am more targeted, which is a much tough game to be in. Then I am building completely new product, completely new type of product that no one has. Hence, I need a new architecture, right? And that new
Mhm.
architecture itself was so hard for us to like actually build it in a way that it's so simple for anyone to use, but in the same time we become so indispensable. So that was, because as a company, you always have to think yourself like that, right? You like the classic VC question: what would you like, what do you think, like, Google or Facebook can build it there? That question always exists. and
Mhm.
and for us to be able to answer that, we have to be in stealth for 2 years to make our AI one of the one of the one of the far better side instead of saying best, because we never think that the AI can be the best in the world. There's always optimization. There is opportunity. So we waited for 2 years to make our AI better, and at the same time started reaching out to customers. So when we came out of stealth, we had two pilots agreement, one commercial contract, and one contract pending. That's why we took 2 years to come out of stealth.
Wow. And so where are you today with contracts and business, and how's your tool grown?
Yeah, so in terms of like we started with just video. Now we are like video ads. Now we're in video commerce as well. So let's say you're watching a TikTok video, our AI will be able to analyze all the products that is in there, recommend you 4 products that it's targeted for you,
Mhm.
and you're able to click it, buy the product. So simple video commerce. We are in gaming as well, and we have basically first in video ads for live streaming as well. We are working with a pretty large live stream platform in Southeast Asia. We are working with two of the largest
Wait,
video publishers.
can you give me an example for both, um, just from start to finish of what your algorithm does, step by step, when you're seeing a video ad, what's going on in the algorithm, and then how it displays the ad to you?
Yeah. So when we look into the video, the first thing we look into is there any space in the video where we can put ads, right? If there is no space, there is no reason to do any more analysis on the video, right? As soon as we are able to find a space in the video, what the AI does, it starts looking into what are the content, what are the context of the video. So at first, content is like what someone is wearing, what is a relatable product that can be going there, context of the video. And the third thing we look into is your content and your user behavior. And based on that, the API call happens, the backend, like, the ad server figure out, okay, this is the keyword. Let's pick up an ad. We pick out the ad, slap it in the video, and you feel like, oh, you're watching a video, and you feel like, oh, child, like, let's imagine, you are dancing in a video, in a TikTok video, right? And there's a wall, and in the wall, there's a Nike poster. And I'm watching it, I would be like, oh, I didn't knew, like, the Nike poster
What?
will,
Wait, you can add ads into the video before they scroll?
yeah, we'll slap the ad within the video itself.
It and But so as the content creator, do I have to specify spots that I want the ads to go in?
You just click a button that says I want to monetize. That's it. That's all we want.
So how would it look natural with the ad placed in my video? And like, let's say like the background's moving or something,
Yeah.
like is like the ad kind of like shifting in place to stay
No.
out of the way of your face or something?
So your face is not going to be covered.
Hmm.
There will be a point in the wall where the ad is going to be. There's a depth that, like, our AI looks into the depth of the video. It will basically look like there was an ad, like there was a poster that was like placed inside the video, and very very small percentage of people will be able to figure out that that was an ad, not an actual poster.
So you're able to sneak ads into content, but that feels seamless and not like an ad, and like that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's what we do when it comes to in video ads, and we
Uh-huh.
took 2 years to build that. And then the second thing we do is in video commerce. In video commerce is when you're watching a video, if you're wearing some products in there, uh, there will be a small button that says shop on whichever the e-commerce platform we are partnering with. You can click it, and there's 4 products that is recommended for you. That is basically the product that is worn by the content creator itself in that video.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool. So then, who are you working with now, and how is it going with your current sales and everything with your company?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things we had to realize as a company was sales cycle is much longer in this space, because first thing is when people go around saying AI, I have an AI, it's most of the time it is some massive manual labor happening somewhere, right?
Uh-huh.
And we had, like, just to prove that, we had to do quite a lot of pilots. We are working with Tencent Videos, international carrier called WeTV. We are also working with one of the largest live streaming platform in Southeast Asia. We're working with two of the largest video publisher in India. And then right now we are trying to work with one of the largest casual gaming platform in China as well. So we have 5 companies, and so probably in next 6 to 8 months we would have another 10 to 15 companies to start with, who are in the larger cycle. But in the same time, we'll have another ecosphere where we are just partnering with like smaller companies with traffic.
That's awesome. That's really great. And is there anything else that you'd want us to know about ASMI before we move on to the crypto?
So in terms of ASME, like we are hiring international, like we're hiring like GM for a few of our new verticals. One of them is in gaming. One of them is going to be in like international sales as well. So if anyone is interested in like working with pretty cool AI company, which is venture backed and it's really growing fast, you know, you can reach out to us through our website, or you can directly reach out to me. So that's the one thing I wanted to tell.
Nice. We'll put the link for any descriptions you want to put in the descriptions below.
Yeah, perfect. I think like my LinkedIn would be great. But yeah, for sure. So yeah, so that's one thing I want to tell, because you are always in the hiring mode and you always want to get the best talent that's out there.
Nice. And so then you have some other projects that you've been working on in like the crypto space?
Yeah, so like I have like being from country like Nepal, having lived through a dictator, then socialist country that is ruled by a communist party, and having gone through like civil wars, pretty big natural disaster, and now living in pandemic. One thing that I've always been interested is like DeFi, and how can we create new type of finance tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
and and so and then having been like started like being in part of this since 2017, you have some perspective. That's why always people try to reach out to me. And when NFT started coming in, there was a couple of people whom we started working on together, and we launched an NFT platform like 60 days ago. It was pretty interesting. We had a success as we were able to launch it. Now we are also trying to develop a decentralized legal platform. And besides that, there are a couple of other projects in this space that we are doing. But in short, crypto is pretty exciting, and when we're just trying to experiment with things that will push the idea of decentralization a little bit further. That's what we are doing in short there.
And in long?
In long, power to people. That's the goal of crypto, right? And but I think in long, I think pushing the idea of like human civilization a little bit further with crypto, because to this day we have always been like focused with the idea of authority. For something to have a value and something to have a power, it always comes from authority. But I think in long, crypto can change that or transform that to basically make it community based. And we are already seeing that with few of these platforms already. Like Bitcoin is a pretty interesting example, but you can see there are very interesting protocols that are coming out in terms of lending, like in terms of international money transfer. There are a lot of these things that are going to happen, and that will in short just transform how we as a society function in terms of how we derive value from authority, and what exactly it means having value for something. That's
Yeah,
the
like Cardano is working on building out a government infrastructure in Africa, which I think is really cool.
that will be that exactly. Cardano is doing interesting things. There are so many protocols. Like the founder of Cardano says, the elephant is so big that you can touch the same elephant from so different places and still have enough area for other people to touch the same elephant. So that's the same thing. While we are trying to solve the problem for the problem of contract creation and contract deployment for any normal user, they're trying to solve
And
that.
so
So
what do you can you tell me more about what you're trying to build exactly in the NFT space?
so in NFT space, we already launched it. It was basically a tool for any artist to come in and have a more white glove service. And so because everyone wants to be able to create NFT, but not everyone knows how to create it, what it means to create an NFT, right?
Right.
And so that's the problem that we were able to solve with New Renaissance, to have a very a personalized touch and a white glove service for creators. And but besides that, we're working on this legal platform in which we are basically enabling uh, contract creation and the contract as a mean, like if you are able, if you want to sign a contract, if you want a contract that you need to be signed, instead of going to a lawyer, you can come to this platform in which you can find these contracts and basically be able to cryptographically send it to someone and get it signed.
And are you focusing on any specific use cases of contracts, or are you trying to make a broad smart contract tool?
So I think that's the start will be for the music industry, and try to create like the idea of unbiased contracts. Because the problem is, one of the biggest competing force that are out there is in contract is, let's say you and I are trying, like, let's imagine I'm a famous rapper like Travis Scott, and you are another famous rapper like Lil Wayne. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, right? I want you to be in my album. I'll try to send you a contract in which you agree to the to be part of it. You will not gonna sign it. You'll send it to your lawyers. Your lawyer's gonna send it to my lawyer, and they're gonna do back and forth for a few days. And you and I are like, yeah, cool, but they're gonna spend 8 hours, and we are the one who are paying for it.
Mhm.
Both of them have the competing interest, and you and I as a consumer are actually paying for it, right? Imagine having a governance layer in which the top lawyers in the world will come together and create a contract that will basically say this is an unbiased contract, and you as a like I as Scott can come in and just fill in like 8 or 9 different boxes and send it to you, and you can just go back and forth instead of you having to use a lawyer to explain what is in the contract. You already are you have tools that will easily explain what does it mean, what does these specific terms mean, and it's
Mhm.
the fact that it's an unbiased. It will mean that it's not for Travis Scott, it's not for Lil Wayne.
How do you customize it?
So in terms of what do you mean by customizing it?
Like adding in special clauses, like, I expect to have red Skittles at the beginning of my recording day.
Here we go. That's the best part. You can add that specific point, and if I add that, then you can actually agree to it or not agree to it.
Okay.
So like basically making it simple, like for
Mhm.
anyone, and then when both of us agree, and it will cryptographically be signed.
Mhm.
So that both of us can know it, and we are imagining a whole like landscape with contract itself. But that's the start point, and the use case itself is such a massive, because in music industry, top 10% of people can afford contract. The bottom 90% are always like, you're my buddy, like, come to my album, like
Mhm.
record a song, one of the songs becomes famous, and you sue me because you're like, dude, you made so much money, you're not giving me any money. So there are a lot of these issues that are happening. But if you look into that, and then the other one is like, startup legal, there's another part there. There's like there are various different verticals in which we can actually transform with legal. And we're pretty excited. We'll be launching this product pretty soon as well.
That's awesome. And how do you manage your time with all these projects?
So
I know that
so
that's one of your things that you're interested in.
so for me, like, I my main focus is ASMI. For all of the stuff that I'm working almost as like, advisor slash, consultant. That's the way I do it. But my way of doing things is, I try to work as much as possible, and the way I do it is I try to schedule my time for like by 15 to 20 minutes. And what does it do is, instead of doing a 1 hour call, if you're able to do the same thing for 20 minutes, you have another 40 minutes you can actually focus on, right? So in a normal day, I work like 14 hours, 12 to 14 hours. And it gives me, like, if I work 8 hours or 10 hours, it adds me, there's like 2 to 4 hours on any given day. I can either read books, write, or like, read new protocols or advise people on new things.
And you're also telling me that you don't accept phone calls. Like you have a very like interesting way of managing like, the noise in your life.
Yeah, I actually, my phone is never like on ring or even in vibrate. I never pick up anyone's phone. And if anyone were to call me, they need to tell me upfront that, hey, I'm going to call you tomorrow at 1 p.m. And I'll put that in my calendar so that I actually look my phone at that time. Besides that, I like, because what it does, it gives you control of your life. Because
Mhm.
what phone allows you is, it's like a tool for anyone to just like bother me. It's like, anyone has a stone that they can reach from anywhere in the world and hit me in my back while I'm working. So if I like put this theory in practice, what it does is, you might hit me, but I'm not going to look back. That's basically what it is. I'm like, you can ring me 25 times, but I'm going to call you back in my own term, in my own time. Like, even if it is like 2 days or 3 days from now.
And this is important for programmers because, if you break a train of thought in programming, that can cost you like an extra hour sometimes, or.
One of the funny thing was, I was reading about like Nietzsche's like Turin horse when I was 17 years old. And someone called me. That's when this whole thing started. Someone called me and I spoke with him for like 20 minutes, right? And what happened after that was I completely lost what it was in there. And it took me, like, I never really understood what it meant. And it took me 4 years to exactly understand what that like specific part of that book really meant. And that's why actually, like, and it's all started from there. Like, I was reading that thing, I was not able to, like, understand what it was. It took me 4 years to like understand it,
It's
right?
traumatizing.
It's actually traumatizing to actually have something in your head. Like, I had a thought and it's not there anymore. It's really like, and productivity is actually a really important thing, and and now everything in the world is designed to, to take away your time, from videos to these little tools called cell phones, anything that is out there.
Yeah. So since we're wrapping it up now, is there anything else that you wanted to cover or let the audience know about?
I think like, if anyone is doing anything cool in startups, they can always reach out to me. Because one of the few things I have, like, I have learned in my life is, I'm not here not just because I'm cool and I'm smart and all that kind of stuff. It's not that. It's just like, people have always supported me. And if anyone is doing anything interesting and my background seems interesting, then they want to reach out to me. They can always, like, drop a note, and I'll always, like, respond. So, and yeah, so that's it. But thank you so much for actually making this happen. It's pretty interesting to chat with you.
Yeah, Sam, it was a pleasure having you on. You have so much knowledge in the AI space and startups in general. It was definitely a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Ansh.